in the rolling hills of Anatolia, where the echoes of ancient civilizations reverberated through the mountains and rivers. The stage was set for the rise of an empire that would change the course of history. The 13th century was a time of great upheaval, with the remnants of the Byzantine Empire still clinging to power and the Seljuk Turks beginning to establish their dominance over the region. It was against this backdrop of instability and power struggles that Osman I, a visionary leader, began his ascent, a journey that would lead to the birth of the Ottoman Empire. Osman I, the son of Ertugrul Bey, was a man of both vision and determination. He inherited not only his father's leadership but also the weight of a fragmented world, a world that was slowly being molded by the influences of both the Turkic peoples and the waning Byzantine Empire. Osman's ambitions went beyond mere survival. He dreamed of forging a new state, a stronghold that would eventually span continents and last for over 6 centuries. But every great man needs a partner, and Osman's rise was no different. Malhun Hatun, the woman who would become his wife, was not merely a figure of beauty or grace. She was a woman of intellect, strength, and determination, whose influence would prove vital not only in shaping Osman's reign but also in laying the groundwork for the dynasty that would follow. In the midst of political chaos, Malhun Hatun's role in the nascent Ottoman state was both profound and strategic. Married to Osman I in a time when power was often claimed through alliances, Malhun Hatun was more than just a queen consort. She became a trusted advisor, protector of her family, and an architect of the future Ottoman Empire. Together, she and Osman would face battles, political turmoil, and the ever-present threat of external forces, all while securing their place in history. This is the story of Malhun Hatun, her life, her influence, and the indelible mark she left on the rise of the Ottoman Empire. Her story is not just one of royalty, but of the quiet strength of a woman who stood behind the throne, supporting a visionary leader and ensuring that his legacy would endure. Through her actions, wisdom, and sacrifices, Malhun Hatun played a crucial role in the foundation of one of the world's most powerful empires. The tale of her life is woven into the fabric of the Ottoman story, a narrative that stretches across centuries, carrying with it the echoes of her contributions, which resonate even today. In the early years of the 14th century, Anatolia was a land of shifting allegiances, where various tribes, empires, and kingdoms vied for power. The remnants of the Byzantine Empire, weakened by decades of internal strife and external pressure, still held sway over parts of the region, while the Seljuk Sultanate of Rum had crumbled under Mongol invasion, leaving a power vacuum in its wake. It was in this volatile environment that Osman I, a young and ambitious leader, sought to carve out his own legacy. Osman was born to Ertugrul Bey, a leader of the Kei tribe, which was one of many Turkic clans that had settled in Anatolia after the Seljuk Turks' arrival. From a young age, Osman exhibited a keen sense of leadership, a fierce determination, and a vision for a future beyond the tribal struggles of his people. As his father's successor, Osman I inherited not just his father's title, but also the mantle of responsibility to protect and expand his people's lands. The foundation of Osman's vision lay in the creation of a new state, an empire that would unite the Turkish tribes and establish a lasting presence in Anatolia. But Osman understood that achieving such a feat would require more than just military might. It would require strategic alliances, the kind that could help him secure power and protect his fledgling state from the many forces that sought to undermine it. And so, it was through marriage that Osman sought his first major alliance, an alliance that would solidify his position and provide him with the support needed to conquer new lands. Malhun Hatun, the daughter of a prominent and influential family, was chosen to be Osman's wife. Her family, powerful in the region, saw in Osman a rising star, someone who had the potential to expand his power and influence. For Malhun Hatun, the marriage was not merely a union of love, but a strategic partnership. As the daughter of a respected family, She had a keen understanding of the political landscape and the importance of alliances in the complex world of medieval Anatolia. The marriage was not only a personal union, but a political one that would prove to be of paramount importance to Osman's future success. Malhun Hatun was not just a wife, but a partner in the vision Osman held for his empire. Though her role as a woman in a patriarchal society was constrained by societal norms, she quickly proved herself to be a capable and intelligent leader, offering counsel and support to her husband in both political and military matters. While Osman's early years as a leader were marked by battles against rival tribes and Byzantine forces, Malhun Hatun remained a steady presence by his side. She was not just a passive observer of her husband's ambitions. She was an active participant, helping to manage the growing empire's internal affairs, facilitating alliances, and ensuring that her family's influence remained strong within the court. The union of Osman and Malhun Hatun was one forged in the crucible of political necessity, but it also blossomed into something deeper. As they faced the challenges of an unpredictable world, their bond strengthened. Osman, ever the ambitious leader, relied heavily on Malhun Hatun's wisdom and advice, while she, in turn, was deeply committed to his vision for a united and powerful empire. Malhun Hatun's presence in Osman's court became more pronounced as time went on. She was often seen advising her husband on matters of state, offering counsel on key decisions that shaped the future of the nascent Ottoman state. While the challenges of war and diplomacy were ever present, Malhun Hatun worked tirelessly to maintain the stability of their realm, ensuring that the foundations Osman had laid were solid enough to withstand external and internal pressures. Together, Osman and Malhun Hatun formed a partnership that would prove to be one of the most important in the history of the Ottoman Empire. Their union was not just a marriage of two individuals, but a marriage of two political forces, one that would shape the future of the empire for centuries to come. The wedding of Osman I and Malhun Hatun was more than just a ceremonial union. It was a strategic declaration that signaled the beginning of a new chapter for both their families and the region. In a world where power was often defined by who one married, this alliance had the potential to reshape the political landscape of Anatolia. While Osman's Kei tribe was small in comparison to the established forces around them, the marriage to Malhun Hatun provided Osman with the influence and support of her prominent family, allowing him to forge connections with powerful neighboring factions. In the early years of their marriage, Osman and Malhun Hatun faced numerous challenges. The Byzantine Empire, though weakened, still held significant territory in the region, and the Seljuk Turks, who had once ruled Anatolia, were now fragmented under Mongol control. The political instability in Anatolia was palpable, and it was clear that Osman's goal of creating a stable and unified state would not be an easy one. Despite these challenges, Osman's early conquests began to lay the groundwork for the empire that would bear his name. The most notable of these was the capture of the town of Bursa in 1326. Bursa, a key strategic location, would become the first major capital of the Ottoman Empire, and its conquest marked a significant victory for Osman. But while Osman led the military campaigns, it was Malhun Hatun who played an indispensable role in ensuring the administrative and political stability of their newly acquired territories. As Osman ventured out to fight Byzantine forces and rival Turkish beyliks, Malhun Hatun managed the affairs of the court and the growing empire. Her diplomatic skills became invaluable as she forged alliances with neighboring tribal leaders, some of whom were initially skeptical of Osman's ambitions. She played a key role in maintaining the loyalty of the nobles, ensuring that the empire's expansion was not undermined by internal dissent. One of Malhun Hatun's most significant contributions during this time was her ability to navigate the complex relationships between the Turkic tribes in Anatolia. The region was home to a patchwork of various peoples, each with their own customs and traditions, and maintaining unity among them was no small task. Yet Malhun Hatun, with her political acumen, was able to ensure that Osman's growing empire was seen as a unifying force, not just for the Turks, but for all those living in Anatolia. Her influence in the court extended to every facet of governance, from military strategy to the allocation of resources, and even to the design of the legal and administrative systems that would later characterize the Ottoman Empire. While Osman continued to focus on military conquests, Malhun Hatun's role in managing the internal affairs of the empire became increasingly important. She worked closely with the military commanders, ensuring that the lands won in battle were properly governed and that the people were treated with fairness and justice. Under her guidance, the administrative structures of the early Ottoman state began to take shape, laying the foundation for what would eventually become one of the most enduring empires in history. The strength of their marriage was not only in their shared vision, but also in the balance they struck between power and wisdom. Osman, with his military prowess and ambitious spirit, complemented Malhun Hatun's political finesse and diplomatic skills. Where Osman's focus was on the sword and the battlefield, Malhun Hatun's was on the heart of the empire, its people, its governance, and its future. Together, they formed a partnership that was as much about intellect as it was about power. As their empire began to grow, so too did their family. Malhun Hatun gave birth to several children, the most significant of whom was Orhan I, their son, who would one day succeed Osman as the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire. Orhan's birth marked a significant moment in the life of both Osman and Malhun Hatun, his parents. They knew that the future of their empire would depend not only on their actions but also on the upbringing of their son. From a young age, Orhan was groomed to be a leader in his own right. His parents ensured that he received a well-rounded education, one that balanced military training with political wisdom. Malhun Hatun, in particular, was instrumental in shaping Orhan's character. She understood that to secure the future of the empire, Orhan needed to be more than just a warrior. He needed to be a statesman, a diplomat, and a ruler who could build upon the foundations his father had established. Throughout the years, as Osman's empire continued to expand, Malhun Hatun remained a constant presence in both the political and domestic spheres. She was a mother, a wife, and a counselor to the Sultan, offering guidance when needed and ensuring that the empire's internal affairs remained stable during times of conflict. Her role as a mother to Orhan was just as significant as her role as a wife to Osman. She carefully balanced these dual responsibilities, ensuring that both her family and her empire flourished. As the empire grew in size and influence, Malhun Hatun's presence in the court became more pronounced. She was not just a silent figure behind the throne, but a powerful force in her own right. Her diplomatic efforts were often instrumental in securing alliances with neighboring states, and her management of the empire's internal affairs ensured that Osman's victories were not undone by political instability. Malhun Hatun's ability to influence the course of events in the early years of the Ottoman Empire cannot be overstated. She was not only a partner to Osman, but a vital force in the creation and consolidation of the Ottoman state. Her wisdom, her political acumen, and her unshakable dedication to her family's legacy were critical to the success of Osman's reign and to the future of the empire he founded. The winds of change blew fiercely across Anatolia as Osman I, with his strategic mind and unyielding will, began to carve out a realm from the fragmented lands of the former Seljuk Sultanate. In the face of Byzantine, Mongol, and rival Turkish beyliks, Osman's rise was not one of simple conquest, but of calculated maneuvers, careful alliances, and relentless ambition. As his empire expanded, so too did the influence of his wife, Malhun Hatun, who played an essential role in both the private and public spheres of their nascent state. Osman's early years as a leader were defined by a series of battles, most notably against the Byzantine Empire, which still clung to parts of Anatolia despite its gradual weakening. The Byzantine Empire, while no longer the powerful force it once was still a formidable opponent. Its remnants, especially the powerful city of Nicaea, posed a threat to Osman's growing power. Yet, Osman had a vision. He saw the Byzantine Empire as a source of both challenge and opportunity. He knew that by defeating the Byzantines, he could not only expand his territory but also secure his legacy as a ruler of importance in the region. Malhun Hatun was not just a passive figure during these early years of war. She was actively involved in the decisions that would affect the fate of their empire. While Osman led his forces on the battlefield, Malhun Hatun's role was to ensure the stability of the lands they had won. She held court in Sagat, the initial capital of the Ottoman Beylik, overseeing the management of resources, maintaining alliances, and governing the people. In many ways, she was the backbone of the administration, managing the logistical side of Osman's military campaigns and ensuring that their growing empire did not falter during times of war. The year 1302 was particularly significant for Osman's ambitions. It was the year of the Battle of Beyfus, a critical victory over the Byzantine forces. The battle not only secured Ottoman control over key territories, but also marked a turning point in the history of the empire. The Byzantine forces, led by the powerful Byzantine general George Muzalan, were defeated, paving the way for the Ottomans to expand further into the heart of Byzantine territory. While Osman's military genius was the driving force behind the victory, it was Malhun Hatun who ensured that the fruits of this success were not lost. She worked tirelessly to consolidate the newly gained lands, reinforcing the administration and ensuring that the loyalty of local tribes and leaders was secured. Her diplomatic efforts were crucial in bringing together the diverse peoples of the region, from the Turkic tribes to the Greeks and Armenians, into a semblance of unity under Ottoman rule. As the Ottomans continued to gain power, Osman faced mounting challenges not just from the Byzantines, but from rival Turkish beyliks. The neighboring Danishmends, a powerful dynasty in Anatolia, saw Osman's rise as a direct threat to their own ambitions. In addition to these external threats, there were also internal challenges as rival factions within the Ottoman tribes sought to undermine Osman's leadership. Yet, through it all, Malhun Hatun remained a steadfast advisor and partner, guiding Osman through political intrigue and helping him maintain control over his growing domain. Osman's greatest strength lay in his ability to adapt, to recognize when to fight and when to negotiate. He was not driven by pure conquest, but by a vision of stability and prosperity for his people. This pragmatism, coupled with his military prowess, allowed him to navigate the complex political terrain of Anatolia with remarkable success. It was in these formative years of the Ottoman Empire that Osman began to solidify his position as the leader of the Turks in Anatolia, a title that would eventually extend far beyond the borders of his modest beginnings. During these turbulent years, Malhun Hatun was by Osman's side, not just as a wife, but as a trusted advisor. She understood the intricacies of leadership and governance in ways that complemented her husband's battlefield strategies. Together, they formed a partnership that balanced both the military and administrative aspects of their growing empire. She played a central role in managing their court, ensuring that the empire's expanding territories were governed justly and efficiently. One of the defining aspects of Malhun Hatun's influence was her ability to form alliances, both within and outside the Ottoman realm. These alliances were not limited to political figures. Malhun Hatun understood the importance of social cohesion. She reached out to the local populations, encouraging loyalty and fostering a sense of unity among the diverse peoples within their empire. Her diplomatic approach to governance helped to maintain stability, even as Osman's forces expanded their reach across Anatolia. But Malhun Hatun's influence was not limited to just political and military affairs. She was a mother, and in this role, she took great care in raising her son, Orhan I, who would one day follow in Osman's footsteps as the second sultan of the Ottoman Empire. From an early age, Orhan was taught not only how to wield a sword but also how to wield power. Malhun Hatun was instrumental in shaping Orhan's education, ensuring that he received not only military training but also lessons in statecraft and governance. She understood that to secure the future of the empire, Orhan would need to be a leader who could unite, rather than divide, the diverse people of Anatolia. As the years passed, The Ottoman Empire grew stronger under Osman's leadership, and Malhun Hatun's role in this success became more apparent. While Osman's military conquests and diplomatic strategies were at the forefront of their achievements, Malhun Hatun's influence in the background ensured that the empire was able to thrive both administratively and culturally. She helped maintain the stability needed for Osman's military victories to yield long-term results. And it was this stability that allowed the empire to grow into a powerful force in the region. Together, Osman and Malhun Hatun built the foundations of what would become one of the most powerful and enduring empires in history. Their partnership, forged in both love and political necessity, proved to be the key to the Ottoman Empire's early success. As Osman continued to expand his empire through military victories and strategic alliances, Malhun Hatun remained a vital force in ensuring that his vision would endure. As the Ottoman Empire expanded under Osman I's leadership, the weight of establishing a lasting dynasty grew ever heavier. With each military conquest, each new territory captured, Osman cemented his legacy. Yet, in the midst of this tumultuous journey, there was a quieter, more personal aspect of his life that would prove to be equally crucial to the future of the empire: the birth of his son, Orhan I. Malhun Hatun, by then deeply involved in the governance of their expanding realm, was faced with an additional, and perhaps more sacred, responsibility: the upbringing of her son, Orhan. As a mother, Malhun Hatun understood that the future of the Ottoman state rested not only in the hands of her husband, Osman, but also in the hands of her son. From the moment Orhan was born, Malhun Hatun took it upon herself to shape him into the kind of ruler who would continue the work her husband had begun. Orhan's early years were steeped in a legacy of conquest, but Malhun Hatun was determined that her son's education would extend beyond the battlefield. In a world where military prowess often determined the fate of nations, she recognized that true leadership required more than just the sword. To build a powerful empire, a ruler had to be as skilled in diplomacy, governance, and law as they were in battle. And so, she made sure that Orhan's childhood was filled with lessons that prepared him for the complexities of ruling an empire. Under Malhun Hatun's guidance, Orhan received a well-rounded education, while Osman focused on military affairs. It was Malhun Hatun who sought out the best scholars and advisors for her son. The young prince was taught about the intricacies of statecraft, the importance of maintaining alliances, and the delicate balance between diplomacy and war. Malhun Hatun knew that Orhan would one day lead the Ottoman Empire, and she was determined to ensure that he was ready for the responsibility. But her influence on Orhan was not limited to his formal education. As a mother, Malhun Hatun instilled in him a deep sense of duty to his people and to the legacy of his family. She taught him the values of fairness, justice, and the importance of maintaining the unity of the diverse peoples under Ottoman rule. Her wisdom and guidance shaped Orhan I into a leader who understood that his success would not just be measured by territorial expansion, but by his ability to unite, govern, and protect his people. As the years passed, Osman's reign continued to strengthen, and Orhan began to accompany his father on military campaigns. From an early age, he witnessed the challenges his father faced, both on the battlefield and in the court, and observed the ways in which Malhun Hatun's steady influence helped guide Osman through turbulent times. Orhan saw how his mother's wisdom tempered his father's boldness, how her counsel played a pivotal role in Osman's strategic decisions, and how the delicate balance of family, politics, and war was essential to maintaining the stability of their empire. While Osman's victories on the battlefield were the public face of the Ottoman rise, it was Malhun Hatun's quiet strength in the background that ensured their empire was not only won, but also sustained. Orhan saw firsthand how his mother's political acumen and her ability to negotiate with rival tribes, local leaders, and even foreign powers ensured that the empire's gains were solidified. As a young prince, Orhan began to appreciate the subtleties of governance, the importance of maintaining alliances, the need for fair administration, and the wisdom of understanding one's people. Through these formative years, Orhan grew not only in strength but in wisdom. He learned the delicate art of leadership, recognizing that his father's military victories would mean little if the empire could not be maintained through strong governance and diplomacy. Malhun Hatun's influence on her son was profound, shaping his character as a ruler who understood the complexities of statecraft, the importance of justice, and the need for unity among the diverse groups that made up the Ottoman realm. It was in this environment, surrounded by both his father's example and his mother's steady guidance, that Orhan began to develop the qualities that would define his reign. He learned the importance of balancing power with wisdom, strength with fairness, and ambition with patience. These lessons would serve him well when, in time, he was called to lead the Ottoman Empire as its second sultan. The bond between mother and son grew strong as the years passed. Orhan trusted his mother's counsel above all others, and Malhun Hatun, for her part, saw in her son not just the future of their empire, but a young leader capable of building upon the foundation that Osman had laid. Theirs was a partnership in the truest sense, one that transcended the boundaries of a mother's love and a son's respect. It was a partnership that would one day shape the destiny of the Ottoman Empire. As Osman I's reign continued, the time would come when Malhun Hatun's role as a mother and advisor would reach its climax. The future of the empire would soon rest in the hands of her son, Orhan, and Malhun Hatun was determined to ensure that when that time came, he would be ready. Her teachings, her influence, and her strength would live on through him, securing the future of the Ottoman Empire and ensuring that the legacy of her husband and her family would endure for generations to come. As the years passed and the Ottoman Empire grew stronger under Osman I's leadership, the complexity of governance deepened. With more lands to rule, more people to govern, and more external threats to fend off, Osman's vision for a lasting empire became increasingly reliant not just on military victories, but on astute political maneuvering. And at the heart of this political landscape stood Malhun Hatun, whose influence in the court and the empire's administration became more pronounced with each passing year. While Osman was celebrated for his military brilliance and his ability to expand the empire's territory, it was Malhun Hatun's steady hand that helped maintain stability and ensure the smooth functioning of the empire. In a world where political power was overwhelmingly male-dominated, Malhun Hatun broke through the barriers of tradition to become one of the most powerful women in the Ottoman realm. Her political acumen, her ability to read the intricacies of courtly politics, and her diplomatic skills made her a trusted advisor to Osman, a stabilizing force in the empire's growing bureaucracy. From her position in Sagat, the early capital of the Ottoman Beylik, Malhun Hatun played a crucial role in overseeing the daily administration of the empire. While Osman led his forces in battle, Malhun ensured that the newly acquired territories were properly governed. She worked tirelessly to maintain the loyalty of local leaders and chieftains, many of whom were initially skeptical of the Ottoman rule. It was through her efforts that many of these leaders were brought into the fold, their allegiance secured through a combination of diplomacy and strategic alliances. Her role in the administration extended far beyond merely managing territories. However, Malhun Hatun was deeply involved in the formation of the Ottoman legal system, helping to establish the foundations of the laws that would later define the empire. Her understanding of governance and justice shaped the early legal frameworks that would serve as a model for future Ottoman sultans. Malhun was determined that the empire would not only be built through conquest but also through a sense of order, fairness, and the protection of its people. One of the critical aspects of Malhun Hatun's influence was her ability to maintain harmony within the court. As the Ottoman state expanded, tensions between various factions within the court and among the military commanders sometimes threatened to destabilize the empire. Rivalries and ambitions often ran high, but Malhun Hatun's diplomatic skills allowed her to navigate these turbulent waters. Her ability to manage and mediate disputes, to ensure that power was balanced and shared, prevented fractures from forming within the empire's leadership. Her influence also extended to matters of foreign diplomacy. Malhun Hatun understood the delicate balance between securing alliances with other states and maintaining the independence of the Ottoman Empire. As Osman expanded his territory into Byzantine lands and beyond, Malhun Hatun was instrumental in fostering diplomatic ties with neighboring rulers. These alliances were not merely based on the exchange of land or resources, but on shared interests and mutual respect. Whether through formal marriages or political agreements, Malhun worked tirelessly to ensure that the Ottoman Empire was seen as a strong and respected power in the region. One of her most significant diplomatic feats came during the reign of her husband, when the Byzantine Empire, despite its waning power, still controlled several key cities in Anatolia. The Ottomans' early expansion had placed them in direct conflict with the Byzantines. But Malhun Hatun understood that war alone could not secure the Ottomans' future. She recognized the value of negotiating with the Byzantines, and her diplomatic skills helped broker several agreements that not only protected Ottoman interests but also ensured the continued stability of the empire's borders. Malhun Hatun's influence in the court was not just a reflection of her political savvy, but also of her deep understanding of leadership. She was able to provide Osman with the counsel he needed to navigate the complex and often dangerous world of medieval Anatolian politics. Her advice was grounded in a sense of pragmatism and long-term vision, qualities that Osman valued greatly. Where Osman's focus was on military conquest and territorial expansion, Malhun Hatun's focus was on building a sustainable empire that could thrive in both peace and war. But her political role was not without its challenges. The rise of the Ottoman Empire did not go unnoticed by its neighbors, and the Ottomans faced constant threats from the Byzantine Empire, the Mongols, and the rival Turkish beyliks. In these turbulent times, Malhun Hatun's role became even more critical. She was often the one who helped manage the empire's diplomatic relations, ensuring that the Ottomans remained neutral when necessary and allied with the right forces at the right time. Her ability to adapt to the shifting political landscape was one of the key reasons why the Ottomans were able to consolidate their power. As a mother, a wife, and a political leader, Malhun Hatun was able to balance the needs of her family with the needs of the empire. Her counsel to Osman was invaluable during moments of crisis, and her steady hand ensured that the empire remained strong even as it faced internal and external challenges. Her legacy as a political leader is perhaps best exemplified in her role in preparing her son, Orhan I, for the responsibilities of leadership. As Osman's reign neared its end, Malhun Hatun took on an even greater responsibility, ensuring that Orhan was ready to assume the throne. She continued to guide him, instilling in him the same values of justice, diplomacy, and strategic thinking that had helped Osman navigate the early years of empire building. Malhun Hatun knew that the success of the Ottoman Empire would depend not just on the military might of its rulers, but on the wisdom of its leaders. And she worked tirelessly to ensure that her son was equipped to carry that wisdom forward. In many ways, Malhun Hatun's role as a political leader helped set the tone for the future of the Ottoman Empire. Her influence on the development of the empire's legal system, its diplomatic strategy, and its internal governance ensured that the Ottoman Empire was not only a military powerhouse but a stable, well-managed state. While Osman I's military achievements would be celebrated in history books, it was Malhun Hatun's steady leadership behind the scenes that helped ensure the lasting success of the empire. The year 1302 marked a crucial turning point in the history of the Ottoman Empire, a year that would resonate in the annals of history as a decisive moment in the rise of Osman I. The Battle of Beyfus, fought between the expanding Ottoman forces and the Byzantine Empire, would not only cement Osman's reputation as a military leader, but also demonstrate the strategic genius that he and his wife, Malhun Hatun, shared in their joint effort to build the nascent empire. At this critical juncture, the Byzantine Empire, though weakened, still posed a formidable challenge. The Byzantines, under the leadership of George Muzalan, held a strong position in Anatolia and controlled significant territory. Their threat to Ottoman expansion was significant, and Osman knew that the success of his state depended on securing key strategic locations. Beyfus, a key battlefield near the shores of the Marmara Sea, was a decisive location in this struggle. Osman I, who had already established himself as a leader with military prowess, prepared for this confrontation with careful strategy and precise planning. But as always, he was not alone. While Osman was on the front lines leading his forces, Malhun Hatun worked tirelessly behind the scenes, ensuring that the logistics of the battle and the stability of their growing empire were maintained. The Battle of Beyfus was a defining moment for the Ottomans. It was not just a battle for territory, it was a battle for survival. If Osman's forces were defeated, the entire future of the empire could be at risk, and the dream of uniting the Turkish tribes under one banner could be extinguished. But Osman, bolstered by the wisdom and support of Malhun Hatun, led his troops to a resounding victory, capturing vital territory and significantly weakening Byzantine control in the region. Though Osman's leadership on the battlefield was crucial, the role Malhun Hatun played in the aftermath of the battle was equally significant. In the days and weeks that followed the victory, it was Malhun Hatun who ensured that the newly conquered lands were integrated into the Ottoman state. She worked tirelessly to establish governance in the regions, forging alliances with local leaders and reinforcing Ottoman rule. Her diplomatic skills helped prevent uprisings and dissent, ensuring that the victory at Beyfus was not merely a military conquest, but the beginning of lasting Ottoman influence in Anatolia. Malhun Hatun's influence during this period was also seen in her ability to maintain stability within the empire. As Osman focused on the war effort, Malhun managed the internal affairs of the state with a level of skill and foresight that ensured the empire's growth was not undermined by internal strife. She understood that the success of the battle could easily be undone if there was no governance in place to support it, and she worked to ensure that the empire's systems, legal, military, and economic, remained strong. Moreover, Malhun Hatun's diplomatic efforts after the victory at Beyfus further solidified the Ottomans' growing power. The Byzantines, though defeated, were not entirely crushed. However, Malhun Hatun's skilled diplomacy allowed Osman to secure his gains and forge agreements with neighboring states that protected Ottoman interests. This diplomatic groundwork laid the foundation for future successes. As the Ottomans gradually expanded their influence in the region, the aftermath of the battle also brought a new challenge to the Ottoman court: how to consolidate power and ensure the continued loyalty of both the military and the civilian population. While Osman's military leadership was undisputed, it was Malhun Hatun who understood the complexities of governance in a rapidly expanding empire. She was instrumental in stabilizing the regions newly captured from the Byzantines, securing local support through a combination of fair rule and shrewd alliances. For Malhun Hatun, this victory was not just a military success. It was a validation of the strategic thinking and diplomatic efforts she had put in place. The battle itself was a powerful reminder of how war and diplomacy were two sides of the same coin. While Osman led his armies on the front lines, Malhun Hatun ensured that the empire was governed with wisdom and foresight. But as the empire expanded, the responsibilities on Malhun Hatun grew. She was now not only the wife of the sultan, but also a key political figure in the empire's daily operations. With each new territory conquered, new challenges arose. The challenge of governing and maintaining control over vast lands was immense. But Malhun Hatun rose to meet it, ensuring that the empire remained stable during times of war and that peace prevailed in times of conquest. The Battle of Beyfus and its aftermath marked a critical moment in the history of the Ottoman Empire. It was a turning point that propelled Osman I's empire to greater heights. But it was also a testament to the partnership between Osman and Malhun Hatun. Without her wisdom and political prowess, the military success at Beyfus could have easily been undermined by the chaos of expansion. Together, they formed a dynamic partnership, one that blended military strength with diplomatic acumen, one that would set the course for the Ottoman Empire's future. Malhun Hatun's role in the aftermath of Bapheus was not just a reflection of her importance as a political leader, but also of her understanding that war was not won on the battlefield alone. It was won through careful governance, diplomacy, and the ability to maintain stability in the face of rapid change. Her contributions during this pivotal moment in Ottoman history would forever be etched into the legacy of the empire she helped to build. The years following the Battle of Bapheus brought both triumph and turbulence for the growing Ottoman Empire. Osman I, the visionary leader who had built the foundations of the empire through military conquests and strategic diplomacy, began to feel the weight of his years. His victories had expanded the empire's borders. But with every new conquest came new challenges that would eventually lead to the inevitable conclusion of his reign. Malhun Hatun, ever by her husband's side, watched as Osman, once vibrant and full of ambition, grew weary, though her political and diplomatic skills had been crucial in maintaining the empire's stability. There was little she could do to stop the natural decline that comes with age. Her role as both wife and advisor had been critical throughout Osman's reign. But now, with his health deteriorating, Malhun's focus shifted to the future. The succession of the Ottoman Empire rested on her son, Orhan I, a young man now ready to assume the mantle of leadership. Orhan had grown under the careful guidance of both his parents, but it was Malhun Hatun's wisdom and insight that had prepared him for this moment. As Osman's health began to fail, the delicate process of transitioning power to Orhan was set in motion. The question of succession, always a source of potential conflict in empires, was something that Malhun Hatun worked tirelessly to address. She knew that the stability of the empire, so carefully nurtured by Osman, could easily collapse if the succession was not managed correctly. During this time, Malhun Hatun acted as a mediator between her husband and her son, ensuring that both parties were aligned on the future direction of the empire. The transition of power would require not only a transfer of authority, but also the continued loyalty of the military leaders, the tribal chiefs, and the people who had followed Osman since the early days of his reign. Malhun Hatun, as a skilled diplomat, took on the delicate task of securing these allegiances and ensuring that the empire's future was safeguarded. Orhan, while young and inexperienced, was not without his strengths. He had grown up in the shadow of his father's empire, learning the ways of war and governance from both Osman and Malhun Hatun. Though Osman was still present, his weakening health made it clear that it was now time for Orhan to step forward and assume the responsibilities of leadership. Malhun Hatun, though grieving the inevitable loss of her husband, focused her energies on preparing Orhan to take the throne. She offered him counsel in matters of statecraft, reminding him of the importance of unity and the need to balance military expansion with diplomatic prudence. When Osman I passed away in 1326, it was a moment of both sorrow and hope. The death of the founder of the Ottoman Empire marked the end of an era, but it also marked the beginning of a new chapter. Orhan ascended to the throne, and Malhun Hatun, despite her grief, remained a steady presence by his side, offering the wisdom and guidance needed to navigate the early challenges of his reign. The transition of power was not without its challenges. There were factions within the Ottoman court that sought to undermine Orhan's rule, as well as external threats from rival Turkish beyliks and the still-standing Byzantine Empire. But Malhun Hatun's strategic alliances, built over the years, ensured that Orhan's reign began with relative stability. Her diplomatic efforts secured the loyalty of important military leaders and tribal chiefs, many of whom had supported Osman's conquests. With Malhun's guidance, Orhan was able to consolidate his power, gaining the support of key figures in the empire who respected his lineage and his mother's role in the empire's stability. Malhun Hatun's influence in the early years of Orhan's reign was critical. Though Orhan had inherited his father's military strength, it was his mother's wisdom that shaped the early years of his rule. Malhun Hatun reminded Orhan of the values that had defined the Ottoman Empire: justice, unity, and the importance of fair governance. While Osman had focused on expanding the empire through conquest, Malhun Hatun understood that the true test of an empire's strength lay in its ability to govern effectively and maintain internal cohesion. As Orhan assumed leadership, he faced the daunting task of maintaining the empire's territorial gains while managing the complexities of governance. With Malhun Hatun by his side, he navigated the early stages of his reign with the same balance of military power and diplomacy that had characterized his father's rule. Malhun Hatun, though a mother and a widow, continued to be an indispensable advisor, helping Orhan understand the delicate balance between war and peace, between expansion and consolidation. In the years following Osman's death, Malhun Hatun's political acumen became even more apparent. She worked behind the scenes, maintaining the stability of the court and ensuring that the empire's leaders were united in their loyalty to Orhan. Her diplomatic efforts also extended beyond the borders of the empire, as she worked to forge alliances with neighboring states and prevent the Ottomans from being surrounded by hostile powers. Malhun Hatun's role in the transition from Osman to Orhan exemplified the importance of women in the political and military spheres of the Ottoman Empire. While her son took the throne, it was Malhun Hatun who ensured that his reign would begin with the strength and stability needed to carry the empire forward. Her influence, often behind the scenes, was a crucial factor in ensuring that the Ottoman Empire not only survived but thrived in the years after Osman's death. As Orhan I settled into his role as sultan, it became clear that the foundation for the Ottoman Empire's future had been laid not only through Osman's military victories, but also through Malhun Hatun's wisdom and leadership. Her contributions, both as a mother and as a political advisor, ensured that the empire would continue to grow and prosper for generations to come. The transition from Osman I to his son, Orhan I, was a momentous occasion in the history of the Ottoman Empire. It was the dawn of a new era, one that would see the Ottomans grow from a small principality to an empire that would dominate much of the known world for centuries. However, Orhan's rise to power did not come without challenges. He inherited a realm that had been established through his father's military conquests. But maintaining and expanding the empire would require not only strength on the battlefield, but also shrewd political strategy and the wisdom to navigate the complex landscape of medieval Anatolia. In the early years of his reign, Orhan was guided by his mother, Malhun Hatun, whose influence was still deeply felt across the empire. While Osman had been the warrior king, expanding the empire through conquest, Orhan's rule was marked by a different set of challenges: consolidating power, maintaining stability, and strengthening the foundations his father had laid. Though still relatively young, Orhan was determined to prove himself as a capable ruler, and he understood that he would need to rely on the counsel and experience of his mother to succeed. Malhun Hatun, ever wise and insightful, recognized that Orhan's path to success lay not only in the continuation of his father's military campaigns, but in the careful management of his empire's internal and external affairs. She encouraged her son to strike a balance between military expansion and governance, between conquest and diplomacy. Orhan's early reign would be defined by his efforts to strengthen the Ottoman military while simultaneously pursuing diplomatic relations with neighboring states, particularly the Byzantine Empire. Under Malhun Hatun's guidance, Orhan sought to solidify Ottoman control over Anatolia. One of his first moves as sultan was to turn his attention to Bursa, a city that had long been a target of Ottoman ambitions. Bursa was strategically vital, both for its position and its wealth, and Orhan knew that capturing it would be a key step in cementing Ottoman power in the region. Malhun Hatun supported this decision wholeheartedly, advising her son on the importance of securing Bursa and ensuring that it became the new capital of the Ottoman Empire, a symbolic and strategic move that would solidify the legitimacy of Orhan's rule. The siege of Bursa was a difficult and protracted campaign, but Orhan, with Malhun Hatun's guidance, was able to negotiate alliances with key local leaders who could aid in the capture of the city. The fall of Bursa in 1326 was a significant victory for the Ottomans, marking the first time that a major Byzantine city had fallen to the Ottomans. It was not only a military triumph, but a symbol of Orhan's determination and capability as a leader. Malhun Hatun's wisdom during this campaign was invaluable. She understood that a victory like the capture of Bursa could easily lead to internal strife if not managed carefully. Following the conquest, she worked to integrate the newly captured city into the Ottoman fold. Her diplomatic skills were essential in securing the loyalty of the local population and ensuring that the transition of power was smooth. Malhun Hatun oversaw the establishment of Ottoman governance in the city, ensuring that the legal and administrative systems were put in place quickly and efficiently. But her contributions did not stop with military victories or administrative duties. Malhun Hatun was also a protector of Ottoman culture and identity. As the empire expanded, so too did the diversity of its peoples. Malhun Hatun recognized the importance of maintaining the unity of this diverse empire. She promoted policies of tolerance and inclusion, ensuring that the many ethnic and religious groups within the Ottoman domains were treated with respect. This approach helped to maintain peace within the empire and allowed for the integration of different cultures into the fabric of Ottoman society. Orhan, guided by his mother's steady influence, also began to focus on building the institutions that would strengthen the empire for future generations. One of his key accomplishments was the establishment of a more organized and professional military. Under Malhun Hatun's advice, Orhan restructured the Ottoman army, incorporating new tactics and technologies to make it a formidable force. This military reorganization laid the groundwork for future Ottoman conquests and ensured that the empire's forces would be able to defend and expand the empire's borders. While Orhan was focused on expanding the empire, Malhun Hatun remained deeply involved in the administration of the state. She continued to manage the empire's internal affairs, ensuring that the legal system was fair and that justice was upheld. Her ability to balance governance and diplomacy allowed Orhan to focus on external challenges, while she ensured that the empire remained stable internally. Malhun Hatun's influence extended far beyond the court and the city of Bursa. She was an essential figure in the development of the early Ottoman state, and her political acumen helped to shape the direction of the empire in its formative years. As Orhan expanded the Ottoman realm, Malhun Hatun's steady leadership provided the foundation for future Ottoman rulers. Her contributions as a mother, advisor, and diplomat were crucial to the early success of the Ottoman Empire. Orhan I's rise to power was not solely the result of his own strength or ambition. It was also the result of a mother's guidance, a partnership between a ruler and his advisor that ensured the empire would not only survive but thrive. Through her wisdom and steady leadership, Malhun Hatun helped to navigate the complexities of empire building, providing Orhan with the tools he needed to lead the Ottomans into a new era. As the reign of Orhan I progressed, the Ottoman Empire continued to grow in both size and influence. The early victories and conquests, such as the capture of Bursa, were foundational moments in shaping the trajectory of the empire. Yet, these military victories alone could not sustain the empire in the long term. Orhan knew that to build a lasting and prosperous state, he needed to focus on more than just military expansion. He needed a strong administrative system, a unified legal structure, and a stable economy. And in this endeavor, Malhun Hatun, though no longer at the height of her political influence, continued to play a critical role in the development of the early Ottoman state. Throughout Orhan's reign, Malhun Hatun remained a figure of wisdom and guidance. She continued to serve as an advisor not just to her son, but to the entire Ottoman court. Her ability to navigate the complex relationships between the Ottoman leadership and the various ethnic, religious, and tribal groups within the empire was crucial. She knew that for the empire to thrive, the Ottomans had to integrate the many peoples of Anatolia into a unified and cohesive whole. Her policies of tolerance and inclusion ensured that the different communities, Turks, Greeks, Armenians, and others, could live together under Ottoman rule without major conflict. In her later years, Malhun Hatun's influence was felt particularly in the realm of governance. The Ottoman legal system, which had been slowly developing under Osman I, began to take shape as a more organized structure under Orhan's reign. Malhun Hatun, whose understanding of both law and diplomacy was unparalleled, worked with Orhan and his viziers to implement a more unified legal code across the empire. The establishment of this legal framework helped ensure that justice was meted out fairly and consistently, which in turn strengthened the empire's internal cohesion and stability. One of Malhun Hatun's most significant contributions was in the area of public works and infrastructure development. While Orhan focused on military expansion and consolidating power, Malhun Hatun recognized the importance of building the physical infrastructure that would sustain the empire for generations to come. Under her guidance, the Ottomans began to construct important infrastructure projects, such as mosques, markets, and fortifications, which would not only serve the empire's immediate needs but also become symbols of Ottoman power and prosperity. These projects were crucial in solidifying the Ottomans' presence in Anatolia and beyond, as they provided economic and cultural hubs that would support the growing population of the empire. Malhun Hatun's focus on infrastructure extended beyond the construction of physical structures. She also worked to strengthen the Ottoman economy, particularly through trade. Anatolia, strategically positioned between Europe and Asia, had always been an important crossroads for trade. Malhun Hatun encouraged the development of trade routes, establishing Ottoman control over key commercial centers in the region. This not only brought wealth to the empire but also helped to establish the Ottomans as a central power in the region's economic landscape. Her economic policies ensured that the empire was not only militarily strong but also financially stable, allowing the Ottomans to expand their influence both militarily and economically. Though Orhan was the sultan, it was clear to many that much of the success of his reign was due to the foundational work laid by his mother, Malhun Hatun. Her influence was not just in the short-term decisions of governance, but in the long-term strategy that ensured the success of the Ottoman state. Her political savvy, economic foresight, and commitment to justice were key factors that contributed to the empire's growth during these formative years. As Orhan's reign continued, Malhun Hatun's role as a mother and advisor remained central to his leadership. She continued to offer counsel, particularly on issues of governance, diplomacy, and statecraft. The lessons she had instilled in him from an early age, the importance of balancing military power with political wisdom, of maintaining unity within the empire, and of securing the loyalty of the people, shaped Orhan I the ruler he would become. While Orhan's military victories on the battlefield were crucial to the expansion of the empire, it was Malhun Hatun's guidance that ensured the empire would be able to maintain its territorial gains and continue to grow. As Malhun Hatun grew older, her influence in the court began to wane slightly, but her legacy remained firmly entrenched in the structure of the Ottoman Empire. She had played an instrumental role in shaping the empire's early years, and her contributions would continue to be felt long after her passing. Malhun Hatun's legacy was not just in the policies she had enacted during her lifetime, but in the strength of character she had instilled in her son, Orhan, and in the foundations of governance, diplomacy, and law that she had helped to establish. Her influence on Orhan's reign was also evident in the way he chose to continue the policies of inclusivity and fairness that she had championed. Orhan, like his mother, recognized the importance of unity within the empire and continued to govern with an eye toward creating a just and prosperous state. While he expanded the empire militarily, he also continued to build upon the administrative structures that Malhun Hatun had helped to put in place, ensuring that the empire would remain stable even as it grew in size and power. As the years passed, the Ottoman Empire, under the rule of Orhan I, solidified its place as one of the most promising powers in the region. However, despite the military conquests and territorial expansion, it was the careful stewardship of its leaders that ensured the empire's stability and prosperity. Among these leaders, one figure loomed larger than many: Malhun Hatun, the mother of Orhan I and the strategic mind behind much of the early success of the empire. though she had passed from the world by the time Orhan's reign was fully established. The impact of Malhun Hatun's leadership continued to resonate throughout the empire. Her political acumen, her focus on justice, and her ability to unite diverse peoples laid the groundwork for the Ottoman state that would rise to unprecedented power and influence in the centuries to come. A mother's legacy in leadership. Malhun Hatun's most enduring legacy was her role as a mother to Orhan. She shaped not only his character but also his approach to ruling. The lessons she imparted to him in his youth were reflected in his decisions as sultan. Orhan's reign, while marked by military successes, was also defined by the careful management of the empire's internal affairs. Malhun Hatun had instilled in him the value of unity within the Ottoman court, among the diverse peoples of the empire, and with neighboring powers. She understood that strength was not just derived from the sword but from the ability to govern justly and diplomatically. Her teachings were not merely academic. They were practical principles that Orhan applied throughout his reign. Malhun Hatun emphasized the importance of maintaining the loyalty of the people, whether they were Turks, Greeks, Armenians, or others living under Ottoman rule. She encouraged Orhan to govern with fairness, ensuring that the empire would not be just an expansionist military force but a state that protected its citizens and upheld their rights. Her focus on justice, a principle that underpinned much of the Ottoman legal system, continued to shape Ottoman governance for generations. The spread of Ottoman justice and law. One of Malhun Hatun's lasting contributions was her involvement in shaping the early Ottoman legal system, while Osman I laid the foundation for the empire's legal framework. It was Malhun Hatun's wisdom that helped develop a system that could stand the test of time. Her work ensured that justice was not just a theoretical ideal but a tangible, accessible principle for the people. This legal framework was central to maintaining the empire's internal stability, as it provided a means of resolving disputes, upholding rights, and ensuring that power was not abused. Malhun Hatun's efforts went beyond the administration of law, as she understood the importance of integrating different cultures and religious groups into a cohesive society. Under her influence, the Ottomans took a pragmatic approach to governance, an approach that encouraged the inclusion of Christians, Jews, and other minorities in the empire's political, social, and economic life. This policy of tolerance allowed the empire to thrive, fostering a sense of unity and stability among the diverse groups that lived under Ottoman rule. Though the empire would eventually expand to include vast swaths of Europe, Asia, and Africa, the principles Malhun Hatun instilled in Orhan I and the Ottoman leadership continued to define Ottoman governance for centuries. Her legacy was not just in the laws and policies she helped create, but in the lasting ideals of fairness and justice that continued to influence Ottoman rulers long after her passing, building a foundation for future success. While Orhan I's military campaigns were essential to expanding Ottoman territory, it was the empire's governance that ensured its future success. Malhun Hatun, in her later years, helped to craft a political system that allowed the Ottomans to manage their diverse lands effectively. She understood that conquest, though important, was not sufficient on its own. The empire needed strong infrastructure, an organized bureaucracy, and an efficient system of governance to ensure that it could function effectively as it grew. Her attention to detail and long-term thinking helped create a state that was not only militarily strong but also economically stable and administratively efficient. Malhun Hatun's influence extended to the Ottoman military, where she supported the reorganization of the army to reflect the changing needs of the empire. Under Orhan I, the Ottoman military became a more professional and disciplined force, a trend that would continue throughout the empire's history. Her contributions also included overseeing the development of Ottoman cities, markets, mosques, and other public works that would become symbols of Ottoman strength and prosperity. The infrastructure Malhun Hatun helped to establish provided the foundation for the economic growth of the empire, ensuring that it could sustain its military campaigns and continue to thrive. The continuing influence of Malhun Hatun's vision, even after her death, Malhun Hatun's vision continued to shape the direction of the empire. Her influence was felt in the way Orhan I and subsequent sultans ruled their lands. Orhan, guided by his mother's wisdom, ruled with a steady hand and a deep commitment to the values she had instilled in him. The empire continued to expand, but its expansion was matched by an increasingly sophisticated approach to governance that was rooted in the principles Malhun Hatun had laid out. The Ottoman court remained a place of political and diplomatic activity, where women like Malhun Hatun were able to influence the course of history despite the patriarchal structures that defined their world. Her legacy as a political leader who bridged the gap between military conquest and effective governance cannot be overstated. Through her vision and leadership, the Ottoman Empire was able to build a foundation that would endure for centuries. As Orhan I's reign matured, he sought to emulate the balance of strength and wisdom that his mother had modeled for him. His military successes, including the conquest of Iznik and Izmit, were complemented by his attention to the internal affairs of the empire. He worked to build on Malhun Hatun's policies of justice, unity, and inclusion, ensuring that the empire remained not just a military powerhouse but a model of effective governance. The Ottoman Empire would go on to reach even greater heights under future sultans. But it is clear that Malhun Hatun's contributions were foundational to the empire's success. Her legacy lived on in the empire she helped to build, an empire that would dominate the region for centuries, guided by the principles of fairness, unity, and wisdom that she had instilled in her son and in the empire itself. As the Ottoman Empire grew and expanded, the vision and leadership of Malhun Hatun remained woven into its fabric. Even long after her passing, her influence on the early development of the empire was profound, and the lessons she imparted about governance, diplomacy, and the balance of power shaped not only the reign of her son, Orhan I, but the very identity of the Ottoman state for generations to come. A historical retrospective, Malhun Hatun's impact on governance. Malhun Hatun's impact on Ottoman governance cannot be overstated. While many might attribute the empire's growth and power to the military conquests of Osman I and Orhan I, it was the underlying strength of the empire's administrative structure, rooted in fairness, unity, and strategic diplomacy, that allowed it to endure. Malhun's wisdom, honed through years of political engagement, shaped the policies that ensured the survival of the empire in an ever-changing world. Her focus on maintaining internal stability through fair governance was a principle that guided the Ottomans as they expanded across Anatolia and beyond. Malhun Hatun's approach was to integrate the newly conquered lands into the empire without forcing cultural or religious assimilation, ensuring that the diverse peoples of the empire, Turks, Greeks, Armenians, and others, felt respected and valued under Ottoman rule. By establishing systems of tolerance and mutual respect, she created a model for governance that helped to avoid the fragmentation and revolts that so often plagued empires of similar size and power. Malhun's influence extended beyond the high halls of the court and into the daily lives of the people. She recognized that the empire's strength lay not just in military might or territorial control, but in the loyalty of its citizens. Her policies fostered a sense of unity and cohesion among the empire's diverse populations, promoting peace and stability. The legal and administrative systems she helped establish ensured that power was not concentrated solely in the hands of the elite, but was distributed in a manner that preserved the welfare of the broader populace. The Ottoman identity and unity, a vision realized. Under Malhun Hatun's influence, the Ottoman identity took shape not as an empire defined solely by its military conquests, but as a multi-ethnic and multi-religious state that could coexist under a banner of unity and justice. The foundation of this identity was built on the understanding that the strength of the empire came from its ability to adapt to the changing political landscape, to respect the diverse cultures within its borders, and to balance ambition with fairness. Even as the Ottoman Empire's borders expanded further, from the Balkans to the Middle East, the principles Malhun Hatun instilled in Orhan I and future sultans remained central to its growth. The inclusion of local rulers and the establishment of fair taxation systems helped ensure that the empire could integrate new territories without alienating the local populations. These policies of inclusion and governance contributed to the empire's long-lasting success and ensured that the Ottomans remained a powerful force in world affairs for centuries to come. While many of the empire's greatest rulers, from Suleiman the Magnificent to Mehmed II, are remembered for their military exploits and territorial expansions, it is important to recognize that their success was built upon the foundation established by figures like Malhun Hatun. Her foresight in promoting governance, law, and diplomacy in the empire provided the structural stability needed for the Ottomans to flourish, even as they faced challenges both internal and external. Continuing the work, the influence on future generations. Malhun Hatun's influence on future generations of Ottoman rulers was profound. Orhan I, though a strong military leader in his own right, continued to implement his mother's policies throughout his reign. He worked to strengthen the empire's economy, further develop its legal systems, and maintain its diverse population's loyalty. His reign marked the transition of the Ottomans from a tribal confederation to a centralized state, and much of the groundwork for this transformation had been laid by Malhun Hatun's political wisdom and vision. Orhan's sons, Murad I and later Bayezid I, were similarly influenced by Malhun Hatun's emphasis on justice, fairness, and diplomacy as the Ottoman Empire expanded into the Balkans and into Europe. These principles would serve as a foundation for the expansion of the Ottoman state. Even during the turbulent years of military conquest and territorial consolidation, the values Malhun Hatun instilled in the empire's leadership would continue to resonate. For generations, sultans of the Ottoman Empire would look to the legacy of Malhun Hatun as a guiding principle in how to govern a vast and diverse empire. Her ability to balance military ambition with the stability of governance would echo in the decisions of future rulers, who would continue to face the delicate task of expanding the empire while maintaining peace and prosperity within its borders. The lasting legacy, Malhun Hatun in Ottoman memory. Though Malhun Hatun's name may not have been as widely remembered as those of her more famous male counterparts, her legacy lived on in the actions and policies of the empire she helped to shape. It is in the stability and longevity of the Ottoman Empire that we see her influence most clearly. The empire she helped to create would endure for more than 600 years, growing into one of the world's most powerful and enduring empires. In the courts of future sultans, Malhun Hatun's wisdom would be invoked as a model of leadership. Her understanding of governance, law, and diplomacy would serve as the foundation for the Ottoman imperial system, one that would blend military conquest with social and cultural unity. Her legacy was not just in the physical structures she helped build: mosques, markets, and roads, but in the intangible but critical systems of governance that ensured the stability and strength of the empire for centuries. Conclusion: Malhun Hatun's eternal influence. The story of Malhun Hatun is one of quiet but profound influence. Her legacy, shaped by years of wisdom and tireless work, helped build the Ottoman Empire into a power that would shape the world for centuries to come. As a wife, a mother, an advisor, and a political leader, Malhun Hatun's contributions were vital to the empire's early success. Her ability to navigate the complex world of politics, law, and diplomacy set the stage for the empire's future, and her teachings would be passed down through generations of Ottoman rulers. The rise of the Ottoman Empire was not just the result of military conquest but of visionary leadership. And in that leadership, Malhun Hatun played an indispensable role, one that would echo throughout the history of the empire and beyond. The legacy of Malhun Hatun remains deeply etched in the story of the Ottoman Empire. Though her name may not have been as prominently celebrated in history books as that of her more famous male counterparts, yet her contributions to the empire's establishment, its governance, and its lasting stability were indispensable. It is through the empire she helped to build that her impact lives on, not only in the success of her son, Orhan I, but in the very foundation of the empire that would span 6 centuries. influencing vast regions and shaping the course of world history. As the Ottomans continued to rise and expand, it became clear that Malhun Hatun's vision for a strong, unified empire was one that transcended time. Her emphasis on justice, fairness, and diplomacy created a model for governance that endured throughout the empire's long history. The Ottoman Empire flourished under the reigns of many sultans, but it is impossible to ignore the vital groundwork laid by Malhun Hatun, a woman whose wisdom and insight were foundational to the success of one of history's greatest empires. Orhan I, as the first true sultan of the Ottoman Empire, had inherited not just the physical realm of the empire from his father Osman, but the intellectual and strategic framework from his mother. The empire he helped to lead expanded rapidly, but it was Malhun Hatun's teachings that ensured it grew sustainably. She taught him to balance military ambition with political stability, to understand the importance of diplomacy as well as warfare, and most importantly, to rule with compassion and fairness. These qualities became the cornerstone of the Ottoman state, and they would continue to guide future rulers. The contributions of Malhun Hatun extended far beyond her role as the mother of the future sultan. She was a political leader in her own right. Her wisdom in managing internal affairs, fostering alliances, and consolidating the empire's gains ensured that the Ottomans didn't just succeed in conquering new lands, but also in establishing a system of governance that would secure the empire's long-term prosperity. Through her careful stewardship, the Ottomans built a unique and enduring political culture that blended military conquest with governance and diplomacy. Malhun Hatun's influence was also visible in the empire's interactions with the outside world. The Byzantine Empire, though in decline, was still a powerful neighbor, and Malhun Hatun's diplomatic strategies allowed the Ottomans to expand their influence without inciting unnecessary conflict. She understood the importance of maintaining a delicate balance between aggression and diplomacy. By fostering alliances, securing trade routes, and negotiating peace treaties when necessary, she ensured the Ottomans were positioned as both a formidable force and a respected power in the region. Her legacy was felt in the physical and institutional structures that formed the foundation of Ottoman society. Malhun Hatun's investment in public works, including the construction of mosques, markets, and administrative buildings, provided the necessary infrastructure for the empire to thrive. These projects were not only symbols of the empire's strength, but also practical institutions that served the needs of the people. They became the lifeblood of the empire, fostering economic prosperity and cultural exchange. As time passed and new generations of Ottomans took the throne, the wisdom and teachings of Malhun Hatun were passed down. Her influence on Orhan I was evident throughout his reign, and the rulers who followed him were aware of the strategic importance of governance, justice, and the protection of diverse peoples. Even as the empire expanded under later sultans like Mehmed II and Suleiman the Magnificent, the lessons of inclusivity and fairness instilled by Malhun Hatun would continue to guide Ottoman policy. The Ottoman Empire would eventually become one of the most powerful and enduring empires in history, and Malhun Hatun's legacy was woven into the very fabric of its success. Her vision of an empire based on unity, justice, and diplomacy laid the groundwork for centuries of Ottoman rule. Though she is not remembered in the same way as some of her more famous male counterparts, her contributions remain deeply important to the story of the empire. As the empire continued to influence the world for centuries, it was clear that Malhun Hatun's role in shaping its foundation was far more than that of a mere consort or mother of a ruler. She was a foundational architect of the Ottoman state, one whose vision and actions paved the way for an empire that would stand the test of time. Her impact on the Ottoman Empire, on the sultans who followed her son, and on the lives of the people she helped govern is a testament to her strength, intelligence, and unwavering dedication. Even after her death, the Ottoman Empire carried her vision forward, and her legacy endured in the very way the empire was built, on the solid principles of governance, justice, and unity. Malhun Hatun may not have wielded a sword in battle, but she wielded the power of wisdom, And it was this power that helped to shape the course of history. Her story is one of quiet influence, of a woman who stood behind her husband and her son, but whose contributions were as vital as any military victory or royal decree.